Right, no one coming off.
Or a tour. My name is Rebecca and I'm your tour guide for this morning, and Neil is our bus driver for this morning as well. Neil,
yes, I am Neil this morning.
And this morning Neil is definitely Neil. Just before we head off, I would just like to say that Whiteman Park acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of the land upon which we sit, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. Alright, now the tour's going to take approximately 1 hour. We're planning to get off the bus twice, once at Mussel Pool and also at Revolution's Transport Museum. There's also toilet facilities at the Revolution's Transport Museum. Alright, Neil would like to have a quick little say to give us some information about this lovely bus, one of our heritage buses. Thank you, Neil. You're on YouTube.
Good morning. This bus is owned by the Bus Preservation Society, or WA. We have about 80 in the fleet. They're all vintage, all old, a bit like us, and yeah, a bit like me. Yeah. And we'll be taking you past the workshops where we keep most of them. We've got 30 that are running. The rest are in the graveyard, as we call it, which you will see. We're going past that, and it's a voluntary group. And we do it for, we're preserving them for the future generations so they can see how we were travelling. And we've got buses that are from 1935 right up to the present day. So I hope you enjoy your trip round. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. All right, we'll head off now. Can I just get a feel for those who've been here to Whiteman Park before? If you could put your hands up, please. Okay.
That was me as well, so.
Okay. Alright, so as we're heading off, you probably noticed coming here, Whiteman Park, we're huge. We are so big, we are in fact 3,700 hectares. We're very lucky to have Whiteman Park here because we're only 18 kilometres from the CBD. Not many parks in the world can boast that. We're actually 10 times larger than Kings Park. So we are a very, very large area. We, got a blank. We're very lucky to have this park here because we're free. Now, a lot of the national parks you go into, they're approximately $15 a car, whereas we don't charge. So we have so much to offer. So I hope this tour will cover a glimpse of all the different things you could do in Whiteman Park. You would never do it in one day. There's just far too much to see. So we look forward to seeing you back here again. Alright, as we're passing along, we'll see all the grassed areas. Now the grassed areas are our picnic areas. You'll see the shelters there. You can actually hire a shelter for a special occasion. You just contact admin via the internet and book a shelter, or take potluck and grab one if there's one free. There's barbecues there you can use. They're dollar coin operated. So these are our picnic areas of Whiteman Park. Now we hope to see some kangaroos this morning. We tend to, in the early trip, get to see a few, whereas by 1 o'clock they've nicked off and gone bush, so to speak. So you guys up the back, are you listening? It's your job to look out for us. We're looking for some kangaroos. Their names are Skippy. Alright, so we've got to look for some kangaroos for us. Do you help us out and find us some kangaroos? Now Whiteman Park, we cover areas of conservation, recreation and education is what we're all about. And we specialise in transport history. So here at Whiteman Park, as Neil was saying, we have a Bus Preservation Society with these beautiful buses restored. We've got trains and trams and tractors also restored, and our motor museum, and their cars are immaculate. Josh, we're just going past the Revolution's Transport Museum there. We'll come back to that and look at that, Josh.
Lovely. That's the last bus stop, isn't it?
That's the second stop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell the difference? Yeah, I'm full on today. I might get the names wrong, but if I sound confident enough, I might accept you. Oh, you don't need to.
I don't need it.
Out at the moment for some kangaroos. We generally have a mob around this area. Can you guys see the kangaroos up the back? They should be on your left-hand side. They're hiding. Remember I said their names were Skippy? We've actually got 1,400 of these Western Greys here in Whiteman Park, and we have quite a number also at Cabochon Wildlife Park, and they're domestic kangaroos. You can feed those kangaroos there, you can pack them and have photos with them. Alright, we're coming up to an area now on your left-hand side, and this is called Woodland Reserve. Very, very important part of our program here at Whiteman Park. This is a Woodland Reserve is a area for critically endangered woylies. So it's a breeding program that government has generously sponsored. So that fence you're looking at is a pretty serious fence. That's a predator-proof fence. That's to keep the cats out, the foxes out, and to keep our woylies and quendas in. So you can actually come to Woodland Reserve on a Friday night. We have nocturnal woylie walks. They're very, very popular and they're great. We go online and you can book the tours. The last tours are finishing at the end of May, so get in quick. So it's a half-hour video presentation. We do a bushwalk, and then we actually go to the soft enclosure and get to hand feed the quendas and woylies themselves. As we're driving off, you'll see a funny-looking green dome little shape thing. That belongs to the Astrological Society. That's where the guys lift the lid open and they do their stargazing. There's so much here in Whiteman Park. We've got down on what was Marshall Banara Road, we've got the shooting, and we've got aeroplanes and the shooting gallery there. So there's all sorts here to do in Whiteman Park. And no kangaroos, that's a shame, but we'll keep an eye out for you. Left-hand side is Cabochon Wildlife Park. Cabochon Wildlife Park is a privately run business. It's a zoo of Australian-only animals. They lease the land from us, and it costs to go in, but it is well worth the money. If you go in there, there's all sorts to see and do. There's a lot of interactive activities where you can have photographs with the kangaroos, as I was saying earlier. There are snakes, there's birds, there's a huge wombat. There's all sorts. There's farm animal shows and little kiddies petting zoos as well. So well worth a look at the Cabochon Wildlife Park. Alright, on our left-hand side, we're just doing a quick little loop around here. We're going past our Tractor Museum. Tractor Museum is also run by our volunteers. We've got over 200 volunteers here at Whiteman Park, and the park couldn't run without all the different volunteers in the different areas of transport. So we've got over 70 tractors, ploughs, planes, harvesters that all are here at Whiteman Park. Second Sunday of every month they bring some of them out and they take them around the park to turn the engines over, and it's quite a sight to see these little tractors going putt all around the park. Okay, at the moment we're about to go over some tram tracks. So as I was saying earlier, we also have trams here at Whiteman Park. We have 7 trams that have been restored. They're beautiful trams, and they go around a 6-kilometre track around Whiteman Park. We did have trams running in Perth up into the late 50s. Unfortunately, the government stopped them. So now the only trams running in Perth, Western Australia, are the trams here at Whiteman Park. I'm going to give you a brief overlay of the name Whiteman Park and how it came about. So Whiteman Park is named after one of the original farmers of this area. So his name was Lou Whiteman. Now Lou was a very generous man, so we named the park in recognition of what he did. Look at those pencils on the right-hand side. We'll talk about them on the way back, I think. What do you reckon, Neil?
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so Lou never married, never had children, but he was a millionaire because his mum and dad started Midland Brick, as we know it today. And so he donated everything that he had collected to give to the people of Western Australia. So we kept everything that he collected that was relevant to transport and the history of transport. And what wasn't relevant to transport, they auctioned off, and the money went to Princess Margaret Hospital. Lou also developed the area that was his farm, and he developed Mussel Pool to what it is today. So in recognition of all that Lou did, that's why we named the park Whiteman Park. Mussel Pool now, so on our right hand side is Mussel Pool. It's like a large oval shaped pool itself, and we'll be going around it and back. But coming up on our left-hand side, we have a very, very special park. For the kids up the back, you've got my permission to nag. So you have to remember the name. It's called Piers All Ability Based Playground. But just call it Piers Playground, so that's what we call it. So this is an awesome playground. It's got a flying fox. It's got a huge big tower. There's all sorts there. Lovely grass, shady areas. And for us adults, there's a coffee shop and they make awesome coffees, I'm telling you. There's a special toilet block there for people with special needs. There's a hoist and a shower. Now we're quickly going past on your left-hand side the dog park. This is an enclosed dog park. One section's for large dogs and one for small dogs where your dogs can run off lead. You can take your dog for a walk around Whiteman Park, but we ask that you keep your dog on a lead. A very good reason, one of the very good reasons to keep your dog on a lead is we have 9 different types of venomous snakes here at Whiteman Park, and lots of tiger snakes, so good reason to keep your dogs and your little kids on a lead. The left-hand side, this is the side of Whiteman Park that runs parallel with Marshall Road. We usually have quite a few kangaroos along this section, but no doubt they're going to make a liar of me today because I've said that. But anyway, keep your eyes open for some kangaroos. They'll tend to be hiding under the trees by now, trying to camouflage. It'll be the males, it'll be the ones laying down, and the women doing all the work. But I'm not biased, am I? You're in your glory here, stop. You want to do a spill?
Yeah, I'll
Ooh, an old transport bus.
Wow, Josh.
Wow, yeah.
All the buses. Wow. Oh, excuse me.
Excuse
Do you want
me,
to
yeah.
get one over here?
Well, these are some of the buses. As we, the workshops which we'll go around in a second, we've got in the workshops at the moment, we've got about 25 buses. We take one in when there's space and start restoring them. On a Tuesday we work and we have about 35 members come, all different trades, metal workers, sheet workers, carpenters, everything. The pink one here, I'll just move down a bit. The pink and white one on the right hand side here, there's 2 of them, and that's one of the next ones that are going in. They were a coach that ran from Perth to Albany and Esperance, and up north to Darwin, and they are the only 2 left in Australia, and we think the only 2 in the world, but we're not sure about that. So they're very scarce. The blue and white one there, just facing us on the right, we've just received that as a donation from Sydney, and it came over by sea, and they gave us it. We had it originally and we sent it to them. They said, we don't want it, you can have it back, so we've got it.
Thank you, Neil. Oh, you've gone the wrong way. Where are you going?
Yeah, can I have it again?
Oh.
Just very quickly, you see the green sheds, there's a white roof bus on the left hand side. I had one of those, identical, in 1978, and I put my wife and 3 children on it, and we did a tour of Australia for about 2.5 years. And the top speed was 35 miles an hour then.
So this area is known as the graveyard for our buses, but the boys don't like to call it the graveyard. It's the waiting place to be restored, as we were saying earlier. This is where all the trams are restored. So this is where all the volunteers for our trams come and do some amazing work. Like Neil was saying, there's many different qualified tradespeople that have different skills in order to restore these gorgeous buses, trams and trains to their glory. Look on your right hand side, there's some lovely bankshires in flower. Aren't they gorgeous, the bankshires? Beautiful bankshires. you look quickly on your left-hand side, you'll see some half-cab buses. They're my favourites. They're around 1910, 1920, the half-cabs. Gorgeous. We've got one where we go into Revolution's Transport Museum. You'll see that's been restored to its former glory. There you are.
There's a tram.
There we go. There's a tram just for Josh. Josh is videoing this, by the way. It'll be on YouTube. So it's just past the Mussel Pool tram stop and it's heading up to Revolution's Transport. The junction stop, I should say. I've never had a tram. Oh, I wish they'd do that every week for us. That would be nice. So here we go. Here's the tram at the actual stop. Yeah, thank you, Neil. There's some Maggies. They come waiting to be fed. We've got people that come and feed them every morning. All right, this lovely little building on the left-hand side as we're driving past is from the little town of Longaran. So Longaran, does anyone know Longaran? No? Well, it's a town, it's half an hour from Meriden, and it was on the train line, obviously, and they didn't need this station anymore, so they donated it to us, and we very gratefully accepted it, and it's been restored. So that's an example of these beautiful old buildings that we've had. The town of Longaran itself is quite interesting. It's got a bit of history. It was used during the Second World War as an army ordnance camp. So the government decided it was far enough inland, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometres inland, that it was safe to be used to store all the ammunition and what have you. So they stored it there. It's also got some, it's also a special town because it was the first town that had CWA. So the lady down the back, CWA, yes? No? All right, Country Women's Association, sorry. Yes, Country, oh no, C. I hope I'm clear. Country Women's Association. So they were the first rural town in Western Australia to start CWA. All right, we're going past Mussel Pool. As I said, it was like a big oval. On my left-hand side, behind the toilet block, if you go for a walk and you're very, very quiet, you'll actually see some quendas running around in the scrub. So that's lovely to see at the quendas. Not a lot, there's probably only about a dozen, but it's worth a look. Okay, we're coming up to the spot here in Mussel Pool where we're going to actually get off the bus. Just a quick couple of minutes. We've only got about less than 5 minutes to be on and off the bus. You're welcome to leave your bags on the bus if you wish, because Neil will stay on the bus. Tight turn. Josh, around this bend here.
I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out.
Yeah, you better, because if he hits the post, we're in trouble. If you look on your right-hand side, guys, you'll see some posts with red on the top. Can you see them? They've got red on the top of the special post. They go across the road and they keep going. Now, that's one of our bushwalks. We've got 3 bushwalks here at Whiteman Park. This one here goes down to Marshall Road, that follows Bennett Brook. We've got the one at the back of the dog park, which is my favourite. It's actually got a bird hide where you can actually view them and see them, and one at the back of Revolution's Transport Museum. As we're going over the tram track, I want you to look on your left-hand side. Now behind that fencing there's a funny-looking vehicle. That's called a log whim. Now a log whim is a form of transport used for transporting trees that have been chopped down, and they would take them to either the mills or to the train stations. Very important part of our history of farming. This is a very good example of what Lou Whiteman liked collecting. He loved collecting things relevant to transport, and that's one of them. It's actually safe there, it's protected from the weather, and it's in good condition. But the one that we had at Mussel Pool has actually lost one of its wheels because the white ants got to it. So Whiteman Park decided it's best that all of Lou's stuff gets preserved and put into a museum so it lasts a lot longer. Now we're coming up on our left-hand side to what we call our cricket pitch. The cricket pitch is a part of Mussel Pool where when Lou and his staff made the area into a swimming hole 3 times larger than it originally started, they tipped all the silt onto this area on our left. And then that's when Lou made it on one section like a mini museum where he had, I believe, kangaroos and donkeys and all sorts. And on the right-hand side, they had or lose vehicles. But what we can do is have a game of cricket if you so want to. Area that we call the Children's Forest. It's quite a large area. It comes from Mussel Pool and goes all the way up to the village. Now the Children's Forest was originally started by the men of the trees. And it was done in sections. Each year they came from another section. It's a wonderful area for children to go and discover things. There's over 50 things in the Children's Forest you've got to find. Mostly made of metal and wood. At the Visitors Information Centre there are sheets where you can find all these things. Now Neil, we saw some pencils earlier on the way down. Have you seen them yet?
Yeah.
Aha. So on the left hand side guys, can you count for me how many pencils there are? We need to check. How many?
7.
Yay, well done. There are 7 pencils, that's right. They're big pencils, aren't they? And there's also in there a great big metal nest. And it's a replica of a wedge-tailed eagle's nest, and it's awesome. Alright, I'm going to hand around in a minute some handout sheets, and these are fairy doors. So in our big trees where all our fairies live, one of our volunteers made the most gorgeous fairy doors for them all. So I'll pass this sheet down for you all to have a look. Fairy doors. Yeah, we've got fairies down there at the Children's Forest. We're passing on our right hand side the Motor Museum. The Motor Museum is now doubled. We've got 2 massive sheds and they are full of the most amazing restored cars. Absolutely beautiful. They come in pretty good nick, not like the poor buses and trams and trains do. And they have themes. Each month they have the particular themes for their cars. Now, on the right hand side is our village where we started. Village has all sorts of things happening during the school holidays. We've got pedal bikes you can hire. We've got a lolly museum. There's a genuine original print shop that still runs. There's a pottery and an art gallery. So there's all sorts. Whiteman Park also has special themes and features, just about one every month. If you go online and look at the Whiteman Park site, it'll tell you what's there. For example, we might have a car rally, we might have Nangara Waterbound special day, educational days, we have doggy days, all sorts of things happening here at Whiteman Park. Left hand side are some very beautiful buildings. Now these buildings, this is the Junction Station where the trains and trams start and stop. These beautiful buildings have been donated kindly from East Perth, Subiaco and Fremantle, so some of us slightly older people might recognise them. They're so gorgeous, these buildings, that they've actually been used for movie props. They've been used in 2 movies. I believe one was a Russian one, so you can just imagine the story they probably told. Okay, we've now arrived at Revolution's Transport Museum. We're going to get off the bus here, and we've only got a quarter of an hour, so we have to be back here at the bus by 5 to 12, please. Okay, there's toilets here, just where the red bricks are if you need the toilets. If you wish to stay on longer, you're welcome, and you can just come back yourself at your own leisure. Please let me know, because otherwise I'll send the dogs out after you. Can you hear me up the back?
Doesn't seem like they can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes, that's good. Alright, so that's a very quick look at Revolution's Transport Museum. It's very, very interesting. So much to see in there. And if you look quickly on your left, past the red bricks, the vehicles there are the original ones that Lou first started collecting. And those are the ones that he had outside the Mussel Pool area that we call the cricket grounds now. On your left-hand side, if you look closely, you'll see a couple of posts with yellow and orange on the top of them. There are markers for one of our bushwalks. Do you remember us saying when we were at Mussel Pool we had bushwalks? Well, that is the one that goes way out, and it's very interesting out there. Beautiful examples of our flora, different times of the year. Now, I just wanted to say, on my shirt, I've got a picture of some birds' wings. Now, that is our logo for Whiteman Park, and that represents, that's it? That's right, good girl. That represents the wedge-tailed eagle. We've actually got 2 pairs of wedge-tailed eagles here in Whiteman Park, and both have successfully bred each year, so that's wonderful. And I was just going to let you know, also we've got some cattle here at Whiteman Park. because originally Lou bought the land to graze his cattle as well as ride his horses. And so we've got approximately 30 head of cattle here still at Whiteman Park. They're used to keep the weeds down Marshall Road end, and a little bit of income from grazing cattle, and also as a historical reminder of how the area was used for farming and cattle back then. Just coming up on your left hand side are some sheds. Now this is where our firefighting and vehicles are kept. We had a very bad fire back in 2014 which we thought we could have lost the park. It started at Revolution's Transport Museum and headed straight towards Woodland Reserve and burnt quite a large area of our Woodland Reserve. So after that we've got very, very, very fire conscious everywhere you go. Just as we're turning on the right hand side, you'll see some more of our free sporting facilities. We mentioned the cricket pitch. Well, here we're going past some courts. We've got basketball courts here. They're free to use, and if you go to the Visitors Information Centre, they'll lend you the rackets and the balls. And also, if you brought your bikinis, we've got a paddling pool. Very, very popular on the warm days is the paddling pool, also free to use. We're looking straight directly behind the paddling pool at the Motor Museum, and then as we're turning we come back to where we started at the Visitors Information Centre, and there's a coffee shop for people there to grab a meal if you so wish. So that winds up our tour. We'd like to thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it and have learned a little bit more about the history of Whiteman Park, Lou Whiteman, and what we've got running here at Whiteman Park. Alright, if anybody gets a moment, we would be very grateful if people get a moment to go on to TripAdvisor and just put a small plug in for us here at Whiteman Park. It's a good way to promote Whiteman Park, so if you could just say that there's a Whiteman Explorer tour running and what you thought of it, which of course was fantastic. And thank you, Neil, very much for driving us today.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.